My name's Pete. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a very young child. I started a tech business when I was 15, basically tech consulting, which was, initially for consumers and then for small business owners. I've always followed the path of entrepreneurship and then, I guess, business scaling and business growth. And then I have since moved into the arena of the intersection between technology, business, leadership, wealth generation, and I'm passionate about psychology and influence as well. So they're the kind of realms that I play in. As Tyran said, I retired early. Basically, by the time I hit 27, I was earning more than $250,000 a year on autopilot, and I only had to work about 2 hours a week in my business, and I could disappear for 2 or 3 months at a time if I wanted to. And over the last 7 years, actually, I've just basically further optimized that. So I will spend time on projects that I'm interested in. If I'm interested in taking an equity stake in a business and helping that business to grow, then I'll usually put in a little bit of sweat equity and become a part of that business. So that's where some of my time goes. Or I can also, if I choose to, have time to be completely offline. And I went traveling with my parents last year for nearly 8 weeks, I think, and just had some good quality time with my parents. We traveled all the way to the Northern Territory, did thousands and thousands of kilometers. And, while I was doing that, $30,000-$40,000 a month in profit just hits my bank account every month as spare excess income. And that's on top of all of my expenses being taken care of. What do I do with that cash? Apart from hookers and coke, I'm just kidding. That basically, primarily goes to investments. I can get the best return on investment investing in businesses, but I also don't mind continuing to, grow and scale my kind of wealth generation portfolio, which is a little bit of property and some index funds and those kind of things as well. Tyran, do you want to lead me? Where would you like to go from here?
100%. So, I don't really care who you are. That's a pretty impressive resume as far as I'm concerned. To be retired and working 2 hours a week at 27, I'm 36 and I'm still grinding away, So, again, let's go, guys. If you've got questions, hit them up. But I'm going to start us off with a couple of implementation, right? Like I said, we've done the pyramid, right? The first base of the pyramid is vision, getting aligned with the vision. What does your financial future look like and feel like? And everyone's been really motivated. I've got them checking their bank accounts every morning. They're doing simple things like this to make money a priority. They built a money altar and wrote a letter to money the other week to reestablish their relationship to money and wealth and finances and what are those things and how do they suit what's their relationship to money like? And, so then Carl came on last week and we're talking about implementation. So he created a bunch of bank accounts. So a lot of guys now went and put their bank accounts and made lots of little pockets so that they could money first for businesses, but he did one for personal, right? And so a lot of guys have gone and done that as well. Yep. And so now, they're starting to increase their knowledge around what they want to invest in. They're starting or how they want to make their money. And I know for myself, if it was coaching, for example, for you, it was starting an IT business. And obviously you just got to do it. We know that. But I'm really curious as to what are some of the things that you do that help you stay aligned with taking action when it comes to wealth creation? What are some of the maybe mindsets or tools or hacks? How do you stay motivated and how do you, because obviously when we're dealing with wealth and money, all of our self-worth comes up, all of our fears, all of our doubts around, I've worked really hard for this 10 grand, this 50 grand, this whatever, however much money. How do I feel safe enough to invest this? How do I feel safe enough to invest in a company or a business or invest in myself so that I can, market my product so that I can sell it? So yeah, taking the actionable steps required. What are some of the tools or tricks or hacks or what are some of the challenges that you face and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I assume Dane did some wealth clears just to check on that.
Not like clears, but definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we did. Where does your relationship from money come from? And then,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll start there. I think as a foundation, you need to become comfortable with money. You need to become comfortable holding money and holding wealth. And that's probably, one of the things that's pretty common for us to get stuck on and to get hung up on. By show of hands, who is the kind of person who anytime money comes into your account, you immediately then go and spend it? Anyone do that? Or you have in the past? Yeah. Or if you've had a big windfall of some sort, and that might have been even as small as a couple of $1,000s, or it might have been 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, who's then found a way to spend that magically? Yeah, that also happens too. And a big part of that is our subconscious ideas, stories, beliefs, realities about how comfortable you are actually holding a certain amount of value and basically keeping it on you, having it in front of you. So that's a foundational layer before I get into all the kind of like practical stuff. If you don't have this right, then that's not going to work. A couple of cool exercises that you can do on that journey of being comfortable with money, working on your wealth resonance. One is the cash in the pocket exercise. So this was from John DeMartini, and what he did was he went to the bank and he took out $5,000 and he put it in his wallet, put his wallet in his pocket, and he went and he walked around the mall. And as he walked around the mall, he basically embodied and felt the feeling that he had the opportunity to buy anything he wanted to in any one of those shops because he had enough cash. He could buy anything he wanted to on the spot, but he chose not to. And the point of that was to basically feel the power of financial abundance. Feeling the power of financial abundance and feeling what that feels like, but simultaneously feeling healthy restraint, even when that abundance is there. Because sometimes when abundance comes, we're like, oh yeah, let's blow it. Woohoo, let's have fun, let's celebrate, right? And for whatever reason or story or pattern that's playing out that you do that. But being able to feel the abundance and then also practice restraint at the same time. Now, you may choose to pull that $5,000 out of the bank and put it like on your desk in front of you in your office or where you work. That's another great way of doing that because it'll allow you to just kind of feel, okay, I'm comfortable having $5,000 sitting in front of me. Or you do it with an amount that's a little bit uncomfortable for you. So if it's 10 or 50 or 100,000 or whatever that number is for you, you do it with a number that's a bit uncomfortable. You just have it kind of like sitting there and you're not reckless or careless with it, but you want to make sure that you're eventually becoming okay with just seeing that on your desk every day because you just kind of like start to feel the vibration. And you might have put like a $100 note on your altar. This is basically like your work desk is your business altar. If you put a big fat stack of cash there, eventually you're going to move and raise the vibration of what you're comfortable with in terms of money just being around. Now, by show of hands, is that resonating for you guys or just nod your head? Awesome. Great.
Last week on the coaching call, I asked them, how much money could you go and take out of the ATM right now and it feel uncomfortable? Like right. just beyond comfortability. And, a lot of it was like 1,500, $2,000, $4,000 for a few people. And, I didn't tell them to do that, but I did say like, maybe go take that out and put that much on your altar. So it's a very similar practice, but not walk around the mall. I like that one. That's a good addition.
Awesome. Yeah. Walking around the mall is definitely a good one. And who's ever felt like when you've gone to like buy a car or a motorbike or something like that and pulled out $5,000 or $10,000 from the bank and had it in your wallet, who's felt like jittery as fuck when you were doing that? Like, oh shit, I've got all this cash. What if it disappears? What if it goes? That's the subconscious stuff. That's the stories, the beliefs, the fear, and the vibration of like, oh shit, this is scary to hold coming up. So that's the feeling. Okay, so the next one is, and this is one that I did with Tyran because I like to push his buttons and do things for fun, is while you're in the mall and you've got the 5,000 or the 10,000 sitting in your pocket, go to a luxury store of your choosing. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's watches, whether it's Gucci, any of those high-end luxury stores. Rolex are a bit of a pain in the ass. They don't really let you try stuff on. So go to like Tag Heuer and Omega and the other brands. They're just as expensive. Don't worry. They're just not as fucking pretentious as Rolex. And go and ask to try on some watches. And they'll be very happy to oblige. They'll, put a bunch of different watches on your, nice suits. Put a bunch of different watches on your arm. Most watch shops will have like something nice there, like a $40,000 or $50,000 watch. Look for the gold ones. And go through that exercise. Now, even with me sharing this with you, and the first time I did it with Tyran, he was like, oh, this is not me. Other people buy watches like this. That's the story, right? Mm-hmm. Other people shop in shops like this. Mm-hmm. Other people shop at Gucci.
My asshole.
Other people shop at.
My asshole was like,
yeah. Great. And notice that, notice that story about that's what other people do. Mm. And again, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Your stomach now might even be feeling a bit like gross or churny, or you might even like have some excuses coming up of like why you can't. Oh no, there's none of those stores near me, or I can't do that, or when I'm there, no, I don't have time. Just look out for the sabotage patterns that'll potentially stop you from doing it. But my recommendation is go and do that like 3 or 5 times. Don't do it just once. It's not actually enough for it to happen. Go and do it 3 or 5 times. And eventually it starts to become normal. And if you want bonus points, buy like the cheapest thing that you can find in Gucci or Hermes or Louis Vuitton. You'll probably get something for like $500 or less, like, a necklace or a bracelet or something very small. But just buy something from there and feel the experience. You get nice packaging. Actually, you can get a money clip from Coach for like $150. Go and buy something like that and just feel the experience of shopping. Very nice. Of shopping for luxury brands, because you're going to feel how people are treated there, and all of a sudden you become someone who has bought from those stores. And whatever object you bought is probably going to feel really weird. It's going to feel really foreign for a point in time, right? So I bought this Bally wallet. It's like a $400 leather wallet, right? Really silly. And that was my like, what's one of the cheapest things I can buy? I really wanted a nice baller wallet for when I'm going in and out of airports and I have something really nice to feel, right? And for a long time, it actually felt it felt foreign. It felt foreign because it was like, this is what other people would buy. I don't have a use for this. This is not for me. All the story. And then eventually, with enough repetition, you start to feel a little bit more comfortable with it. Now, who's feeling a bit uncomfortable right now with those suggestions? Great. Awesome. Thank you for the honesty, guys. Appreciate it. It is tough. It feels uncomfortable to go and do it.
It's just like fitness. Like, I'm not a runner. You go for a run. I'm not a runner. You go for another run. And eventually you become a runner through the series of actions. It's no different. It's just your relationship to the situation is different.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've done both of those. You've gone into those. You've gone into those shops. You've got the items and you're starting to like feel it. Now I'm going to tell you the end of the story. I'm going to tell you how the story ends. I'm going to spoil it for you, and I'm sorry, guys. But those luxury brands, Gucci, Fendi, Louis Vuitton, they are how middle-class people feel rich. They're not how the actual wealthy shop. So I wouldn't necessarily aspire to, shopping there on a day-to-day basis, because if you want real wealth, Bill Gates is not, buying flashy Rolexes to show off to his mates, or, shopping at Gucci because he can. That level of true real wealth is not actually associated with external brands. This is more, those brands for people who want to show that they're wealthy. So go and do the experience, because you've probably got stories about it. But after me having done this a couple of years ago and now being at the point where I can go in and buy anything I want for any of those shops, like, it just feels dumb. It would feel dumb. I'm bored of that experience, which is a great place to be, because for me, I've gone through the upgrade of integrating that. I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable not being around it, but it no longer holds any tension for me. And I no longer have an identity that I'm pushing up against, which is going to stop me from actually doing it on a subconscious level.
Can I ask you a question on that, Pete? Quick question.
Yeah, please.
How does that, and you're probably going to bring it in now, but how does that support the taking of the action for creating wealth?
Well, if you have an unconscious story, or if you have an unconscious belief, you're going to find every way to sabotage or stop yourself from taking the action.
Right.
The action just won't happen. And on a conscious level, you're going to be telling yourself XYZ excuse, XYZ reality. But if the subconscious is not in line, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I'll give you an exercise before we finish on how to actually reprogram your subconscious. Just one exercise. There's a number of different ways of reprogramming your subconscious, but I'm going to give you an exercise on how to reprogram your subconscious. And we're going to do this in a way where we reprogram ourselves to move towards our goals And you'll find that subconsciously, you just start making choices to move towards those goals. Whether or not the path towards those goals is challenging or fun or whatever, as you're programming yourself, you just start actually automatically taking the actions.
Amazing.
Thank
you.
But before that, I want to go through the entrepreneurial rate, because this is a really practical one that you can use on a day-to-day basis, which is going to help you to value your time, and it's going to help you to actually make some shifts in your life. This one's really useful. So I want you to take your total annual salary or your total annual business revenue. So you should have a number for your 12 months, and it can be a 12-month projection. That's fine. It can be a goal number, but it's your total sales. It's not your profit. It's your total sales in your business. Or if you're salaried, it's your total income for the year. And I want you to take that number, just write that number down. You're going to need a calculator or a piece of paper, or you can use Google. And I want you to divide that by the number 2080. So it's easy to remember. It's the backwards of the 80-20. So I want you to take that and divide it by 2080. And you're going to get a new number. Now, it's not an ego show, but if you want to punch that number into the, it's not a competition or anything, but if you want to punch that number into the chat, you can punch that number into the chat. That'll help you to program it into your subconscious. If you want to learn something new, changing the modality of a piece of information actually helps you to program it into your mind. So if you hear something, writing it down. If you see something, taking a note of it. If you draw a concept that someone's explained to you, changing the modality of something helps you to remember it. So writing it down after hearing it or calculating it is going to help. Great. So everyone's got the numbers coming through. So 2080 is a special number. Basically, 2080 is roughly the amount of working hours that you have per year for you to have productive work done. Now, it's roughly, I think it's based on, I think it's 52 weeks times 40 hours, right? So it's a very rough guide. It's not science. And some people work more or less than that. That's beside the point. The point is here that you really only have about 2,000 effective hours for working every single year. So if you have a look at your life and have a think about what things am I doing right now that are worth less than that amount per hour? And could you potentially delegate, automate, or stop doing some of those tasks that are worth less than your entrepreneurial hourly rate? And so while you're thinking about that, you've probably got some ideas that are popping into your head right now. I'd like you to write down 3 things at home and 3 things in your business or your work that you could delegate, automate, or stop doing. 3 things at home, 3 things at work that are worth less than that hourly rate. And if you want to print out a little sticker and stick it in front of your workplace, like I've had on my laptop for many, many years, saying, is this task worth more than X per hour? That's a good little daily reminder. So if you're goofing off on Facebook or wasting time on news sites, it's a good little reminder. Okay, am I actually doing any productive tasks right now? Cool. So everyone should have 3 work things and 3 home things that you want to shift. Type them in the comments if you like. Cooking, cleaning, shopping, editing, copywriting, counting. Yeah, amazing. So one of my business partners, Mitch, calls me the king of doing as little as possible. So one of the things that, or some of the things that I've done is, I've got an executive assistant in the Philippines. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. She'll do things from booking restaurants to flights, accommodation, like all of the basic kind of like PA and EA tasks. But she'll also do things like call my mechanic and organize for me to drop my car off, because they don't necessarily know what day they'll be available, and she'll be able to see my calendar and book in at a time that works for me. If I've got like a date, she's like sent flowers to people. She's organized. Oh my God, what else has she organized? She's organized nearly a whole retreat for me, basically all of the logistics. That's her job, to do all of that. When I moved out of Sydney, had someone that I found on Gumtree to go to my old PO box. So I paid, I think, $15 or $20 an hour to go to my old PO box once a week, check all the mail, throw out any junk mail, and then scan anything that was important, send it to my EA in the Philippines, and have them triage it. And then only the important bills, which my EA needed approval from me to pay, would be kept, and then everything else would be shredded and trashed. And so you can find people to do pretty much anything that you need done. I had a housekeeper who would come to my house, and she would go shopping for me. She would organize, wash, fold, and put away my clothes. I basically said, look, if you want to work for me and do laundry, you do laundry, and like I want the clothes back put away. Like I don't even want to have to touch things. It's my job to wear them and then put them in the laundry hamper, and then that's basically it. And she even like decorated my house for plants and bedspreads, bed covers, and all those kind of things. Now I'm telling you this, and a lot of these are kind of like a little bit extreme, and I've obviously got pretty ample funds to be able to do that. But effectively, scaling up someone's wealth generation is just a series of stages of your value of your own time. And as the amount of income that you earn grows, because most of you will be optimizing for income right now, as the value of your income and the value of your wealth grows, bit by bit, you just get to have more people doing other things for you. So you get to do more of what you love, but also have more time to optimize your income and continue to optimize your income. And that becomes compounding and compounding and compounding. Because every time that you get something off your plate and have somebody else execute it, it then means that you have more time for yourself for either generating even more income, compound, or spending more time doing more of the things that you love. Is that resonating with everyone? Is that landing for you guys?
And can I just say one thing on that around doing things that you love? Don't get me wrong. As men, right, the whole process of like, we got to grind, we got to put in effort, we got to fucking hustle. There is a time and a place for all of that. Do not get me wrong, right? Like I'm training for an Ironman. There is times when I have to train and I have to run and I have to sprint and I have to swim. But if I'm not in a state of joy and happiness and openness when I do it, it makes training harder. It makes eating right harder. It makes doing all the small things that I need on top of the training much, much harder. And what I'm hearing when Peter speaks right now is if you're not in a state of joy and happiness and openness, you won't be creative. You won't be motivated to invest or read that finance book or research that fucking property you want to invest in. You won't be happy or excited to have that conversation with your missus or your partner because, money is one of those hard subjects to talk about sometimes. And so outsourcing the jobs is not just about, oh, I'm now financially wealthy and I outsource. It's about making your life more fun and joyous so that you can be in a state of happiness and expansion so that you can do the things like research, study, invest, and whatnot. I just wanted to share that because like for me, that's what I'm really taking away from what you're sharing of like, if I make my life fun and enjoyable, then I'm motivated to make more money or do creative things that potentially will make me money or whatever, read the finance book that I really don't want to read, but actually I feel good. So I would read it,
And I love that you touched on that because, for many, the standard week looks like working 5 days and then spending at least a day doing houseworky type stuff, laundry, maintenance, cleaning, all of those kind of things. And outsourcing or delegating those to somebody else means that you get a whole day back. And that whole day could be more quality time with a partner if you're partnered. It could be more time doing fun stuff with your friends. Yes, it could also be more time on the research and the discipline and sharpening the sword on how you can go out and compound this. Like it's playing so small to do all that stuff yourself when you could get a whole day back and then reinvest that into what's going to generate more wealth for you.
My dad is from Liverpool and he's a hardworking man and I love him to bits. And he refused to pay anyone to do anything around the house because if he could do it himself, he saved money. But do you know what he lost? Time with me, time with his family. And then you know what he did because he was so stressed because he was busy? He drank alcohol and he would go to the pub. And so that created a negative loop of like, I'm doing everything at home. In order for me to feel happiness, I've got to go drink piss with the boys and run amok and then spend the extra money that I saved on getting someone else to do it on making myself feel happy, taking drugs, drinking, whatever it was. And, I'm sure I've been guilty of that for a long fucking time. It's like I take so much on that I then collapse and now I can't actually enjoy my life or do the things that I want to do. So you know, that's it. What you just said then, it was like, it was just automatically, my dad's like, oh, I'll fix it myself. And I'm like, I can make more money working and pay someone to fix my motorbike than fix my motorbike myself. And I don't really want to fix my motorbike. I don't fucking care. I want it to ride. I want to ride it. I don't want to fix it. So yeah, just thought I'd jump in with that.
I love that. And I think it's an important distinction. If you really enjoy doing something, then do it. That's fantastic. I love wiping down the bench at home for me. Like that, I get absolute joy from doing that every day because I'm like a little bit obsessive compulsive. So that I really enjoy. Don't take me near a vacuum. Don't take me near a washing machine. Don't take me near anything else of the household chores. Yeah. But I do enjoy wiping the bench, and I'll stack the dishwasher as well. That I don't mind. That one I can tolerate. Every now and again, like, you know, at 11 o'clock at night, I'll do an anxious vacuum. That I don't mind, you know, like once a month. That's a good little bit of fun. But that's basically it. Interestingly, Tyran, like my dad has his own challenges with delegating as well. He's a carpenter builder. He didn't build a team around him and just does everything himself. He missed out on quality time with his wife, and he has challenges because of that. And also he missed out on his health. He's basically, you know, been a laborer out there in the sun busting his ass for many years. And he's now in the situation where, you know, he's had a couple of strokes in the last year, and you know, his health is bit by bit deteriorating, but he's not actually set up to have enough other people doing things for him. So that's the risk. That's the risk of where things can potentially go.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, I'll take you
so
over. Yep.
Moving along, we've got limited time. I want to take you guys through I guess Tyran's already shared with you a hierarchy of you know, wealth and where that actually comes in. I want to share with you very briefly I guess what this looks like from a business perspective. And so this is what I teach businesses. The hierarchy is, of course, up the top is vision, mission, values, and your purpose. And then everything under that is based on timelines. And so you have your big, hairy, audacious goals. You then have a 3 to 5 year strategy that's, you know, willing to be kind of like moved a little bit as market conditions change. You have a 12-month plan, which is pretty much set in stone. It would be unlikely for you to switch your 12-month plan or your 12-month goals. And then your quarterly theme, you choose each quarter. Now, this is obviously how you run a company, but I want you to, I guess, riff off this and take a little bit of inspiration from this in terms of the cadence of your planning. But I want to zoom in here and go through the BHAGs exercise, the big, hairy, audacious goals. Because when we think of bucket list items, or when we think of goals that are not just like 1 or 2 years in the future, but 10 years in the future, think to yourself, what is 10 years in the future from now? When you have the thought of what may be 10 years in the future, you actually switch on a different part of your brain because it's so far away that we have to actually start imagining. And when we start imagining, we start actually bringing online the creative part of our brain. So someone asked what the second V was. That was values. Cool. So let's talk about big, hairy, audacious goals. So I want you to just close your eyes and kind of like drop in for a second. And just imagine a version of you 10 years in the future from now. What does your family look like? What does your health look like? What does your living situation look like? What does your material possessions, wealth look like? What is your income sources? And now you've got a little bit of a visual of that, just coming back into the room in your own time. I want you to write down a couple of those things that you visualized. And hopefully they are audacious, big, hairy, and audacious. And if you've heard the quote, shoot for the stars, and if you land on the moon, then you know you've done all right. I don't know exactly how to put it, but
aim
it's
for
the same
moon,
kind of concept.
Aim for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land upon the stars.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that's the one. But the stars are further. That doesn't make sense.
I know. I know it doesn't.
Cool. So could I have like one from each person in the chat? Drop in one of your big, hairy, audacious goals, please. All right. Multiple investment properties, enlightenment, worldwide speaker, property developer, 7 investment houses. Nice. Yeah, it should feel very exciting and a little bit scary. That's how you know it's a good goal. A little bit scary, but very exciting. Private island. Fuck yeah. Driving a Mustang that has been earned through doing nothing. Love it. 10 streams of passive income. Awesome. All right, good stuff. Well, no, not working in any one of my 3 businesses. Oh, I like that. Build a big house and a big barn. Love it. Okay, so now we're going to do a patterning. Now we're going to do a patterning exercise. So this is called the 10 goal method. And the 10 goal method is from Brian Tracy. And Brian Tracy is he's a sales trainer in like the 80s. Awesome old school dude. And the 10 goal method is this. I invite you to, every day when you wake up, write down 10 statements. And this is basically patterning a future reality. So you're going to write down 10 statements about yourself in the present tense, 1 year in the future. I'll say that again. 10 statements in the present tense, 1 year in the future. And so today's 10 statements in the present tense would be Monday, the 20th of February, 2024. 1 year in the future. And every day it's a rolling 12 months in the future. So it's just always 12 months in the future. And so those statements might look like, I earn X. I live in X accommodation or X suburb or X location. I drive X. My relationship is X. My body weight or muscle mass is X. My business profit is X. There's no art or science to this. It's whatever comes, whatever flows. But you basically write all of these in a present tense. Now, every day you wake up, you don't have to look at yesterday's. You just write down whatever 10 things come to your mind. And those goals that are really important will persist. They'll just continue to show up. They'll continue to remain in your thoughts. And so some of the ones that I'm writing at the moment, let me open up my latest one for this morning, because I can go straight to my journal. Okay, future. I own my dream beach house, which is a $15 million house on Millionaires Row on the Gold Coast. All my relationships are healthy and equal. I drive a Mercedes AMG GT. I travel business class or private exclusively. All right, they're pretty good. Another one I've been writing recently is all of my businesses, my businesses combined earn 7 figures net. I've completed my helicopter license. Yeah, those are the main ones that are showing up for me. So what happens here when we start writing this down every single day? What happens is we are imprinting these into our subconscious. And we are imprinting these into a future projection of ourself. And a future projection of ourself is an identity. When we're doing that, it's future Pete, or it's future Tyran, or it's future Tony, or it's future Tim. And we're visualizing the future version of ourself in that reality. Now, if you don't have a solid idea of your own self, you would basically be cuckoo, right? If we can't understand and imagine ourself, then we would not be sane. And so when we imprint that is our future self, what happens is we're sending our subconscious the message that I need to bring myself into alignment to that future self. And any action that I take is out of line with that future self means that future self is not real. And if I'm not real, then I don't exist. And so in order for that to be real, I better actually take the right actions so that that future reality and that future self can happen. And when we're repeating this every day, what we're doing is it's called entrainment. We're entraining ourselves into that future reality. We're training ourselves. Now, it doesn't matter. If I write down, I want my businesses to earn 7 figures net, right? If I don't hit that by December, it doesn't really matter, because I'm always moving the goalpost into the future. But what it does do is it just subtly, or not so subtly, shifts things. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this for over a decade, not every single day, but on and off for over a decade, fairly religiously. And shit just happens. It's a little bit scary sometimes. Sometimes I'll write something down, and within 30 days, it happens. Something that I aim to have 12 months in the future. And as an example, I started this year with that intention. Hey, I want to earn 7 figures net while I'm traveling. And one of the things that became really, really present for me at the start of the year was, I've got to get rid of my house. I've got to get rid of this place that I'm renting, and it was an absolutely beautiful, amazing place that I was living in. But I had this deep, unconscious sense, just this guidance that I need to get rid of this place, because I need to move to the version of myself that is creating content full-time and traveling full-time, because that is in alignment with what I said I wanted to do. And that's how I'm going to earn the 7 figures net this year. Not because I save money on rent, that's paid after my income. But I wanted to move towards that goal that I had set. And so the universe started coming into alignment. That resonating with everyone? Or does anyone have any questions about that you want me to clarify? No? Okay. So just a reminder, 10 statements, present tense, as if they're already there, as if they're already happening, 12 months in the future. And it's a rolling 12 months, just continues to roll. Now, I found one of my 10 goal lists just the other day as I was packing and moving house from over 10 years ago. It was from 11 years ago. And some of the goals that I had on there were, my business earns $80,000 a year. I drive a Ford V8 for my as a car. They were basic. They were basic as goals, but for me, they were important, and I wanted to achieve them in the next 12 months. And then I've just continued to make them more and more and more and more audacious as things went along. So actually,
he now has a 470 kilowatt. Sorry? He now has a GT 470 kilowatt V8 Ford that he drives around on the cash. Just saying.
Yeah. So do I drop in first, or do I do it just straight off the bat? I pretty much wake up, drink a liter of water, start getting in sunlight to have a natural cortisol hit, and then I'll just open my phone and start journaling. I'll do the journal, and I'll do these 10 goals. Even before I've journaled out the emotions and whatever else is arising, I do this imprint stuff first. I first write my dreams, and then I do the imprint stuff second, and then I'll do a gratitude list as well. I don't really need much to kind of drop in. If you want to crack out some essential oils or do a little bit of breathing or whatever, that's fine. The main thing is just make sure you do it. That's the key thing. There's one final note that I'll leave you guys with, and I've got to wrap up in a couple of minutes here. And that is that there's a certain duality between the desire to live in the present, which is very important, and accept the present reality for what it is, and be in a place of love and grace and accepting what is in the now, because that's a very peaceful place to be when we accept the now. But also, when we set these goals into the future and we create that future version of ourselves, it actually creates a tension. It's kind of like a shamanic link between us and the future in the subconscious. And so what we're doing there is we're just playing with that. We're just playing with that polarity. And Tyran can probably, draw this out and map it out a little bit more succinctly in terms of spiritual concepts. But what we're effectively doing is it's like we've got this little portal into the future, and we're just playing with that energy, and we're just pulling a little bit of that future energy into our current reality. And that interplay, knowing, okay, I'm in the present and I'm accepting of my present and everything is beautiful and present now. And I'm going to consciously create a bit of tension. I'm going to consciously create that little bit of tension between me and my future state 12 months in the future. That consciously created tension is basically our shamanic creation that we're then going to use to start pulling that reality into the present. And you'll find as you do this, you just go about your day and you won't think about things, but every now and again something will pop up and you go, you know what? You know, whether it's whatever your thing is, head down the pub, jack off to some porn, you know, like chasing chicks on Tinder, like whatever your thing is, everyone's got their thing, or eat food, doesn't matter, no judgment. But you're going to think about doing that thing and you're going to be like, oh, you know what? In this moment, that's not going to move me towards X goal from my list this morning. You're going to have one of those little moments and it's going to be really subtle. And you're going, oh, that's interesting. Like I didn't notice that at any time in the last week, but I noticed it today. And then your behavior is going to change because what you were previously playing out, you're going to become more conscious and aware of. And then you get to make the conscious choice. No, I don't have to do that. But it's the subconscious patterning that has that basically just like idle sitting there in the background, like an idle memory or an idle neural pathway. We're just belting these into our neural pathways every morning. Every single morning, we're telling ourselves all of these things. And it's like the Tony Robbins thing of like waking up and going, I'm successful, I'm amazing, I love myself. Same kind of stuff, but not as airy-fairy, and very disciplined and diligent and very, very specific about what we want to actually create with it. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna wrap there, guys. That's my 45 minutes. And if you have any more questions, just let me know. If you want to ask questions and you'd like me to respond to them on a video, you can head along to ask.peter.tv. Drop a question in there. It doesn't have to be a business question. It can be like metaphysical, whatever else. Go and drop it in. If you want to connect with me on Instagram or whatever else, just head along to peter.tv. All my links for everything are there. And I'm sure we'll do a follow-up at some point. Yeah, appreciate you guys. And Tyran, thank you very much for having me as well.
Mate, absolute honor. Thank you so much. I took a lot of notes.
Right.
I'll make some worksheets out of them for the boys for this. For the gentlemen. Jiggy moo, Peter. Jiggy moo. Yeah, we've got give everyone. He's gonna have to bounce, please. Everyone, give Peter unmute. Give him a Advanced Man Academy.
Jiggy.
Jiggy moo.
Jiggy moo.
Yeah, Peter, absolutely amazing. Thanks, guys. I'm going to make some worksheets for the guys after this, for this module. It's a potent, like wealth is one of those things, you know, and how we relate to it. And I loved everything that you shared, the reprogramming of the subconscious, just setting goals for 12 months in the future. Such a beautiful one. And, you know, I think that's going to be really profound for whether guys are trying to increase their profit from getting a different job, getting a promotion, improving their relationship, or investing in something for the first time. It doesn't really matter what their wealth goals are, or where they're at in their journey. Something as simple as that is gonna create some phenomenal change, and that's why the Academy is a 12-month thing. So you know, we'll actually be able to see where they're at in 12 months.
Absolutely. I'll let you wrap up, and I'm going to bounce. Thank you, guys.
No worries. Thank you, Peter.